Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank. Banking with greater momentum. At b1bank.com.
From Mansour's on the Boulevard, we're out to lunch with Stephanie Regal. Stephanie Regal is a broadcaster and editor of Baton Rouge Business Report. It's business Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Regal. Welcome to Out to Lunch. Behind every successful business is a great idea, but just having a great idea doesn't necessarily guarantee success. What are the keys to going from concept to successful operation, and what are some of the pitfalls? My guests today have interesting perspectives on that topic. Trey Williams is the co-owner of City Pork Hospitality, a family of Baton Rouge restaurants that has taken off in just 3 years and now includes City Pork Deli and Charcuterie, City Pork Brasserie and Bar, and City Pork Kitchen and Pie. The company also has a catering business and is getting ready to open a poke restaurant in the Southdown Shopping Center. City Pork has been described as a meat-centric mini chain, and meat is at the center of City Pork's menu. But the restaurant group really prides itself on creating unique house-made products and using them throughout different culinary platforms. Trey has been instrumental in growing the company. Trey, welcome to Out to Lunch.
Hi, thank you for having me.
J.P. Kelly is one of the founding partners of a new app in Baton Rouge that seeks to raise money for schools while providing users with discounts at a variety of commercial establishments. The app is called sLocal, as in it's local, and it's sort of like a real-time Groupon that focuses on local businesses and, here's the real kicker, gives 25% of revenues generated from app sales back to the schools of the user's choice. JP and his partners are in the education community. They all work at Catholic High School here in Baton Rouge, where JP is the athletic director. So it's a really neat concept, and I'm sure it's been very interesting to build it up to where y'all are today. Thanks for joining me on Out to Lunch.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Well, Trey, let's start with you. You have an MBA, and you began your career in commercial real estate, and you're still in real estate. How did you go from real estate to deli and charcuterie?
Well, that's a really good question, and it depends on how long you've got, because I can give you a 5-minute answer or a 2-minute answer.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We can talk till the evening, but I guess when I looked around Baton Rouge at the time, I didn't see a whole lot of unique and interesting things going on. I will say in the last 5 years, the food scene in Baton Rouge has really taken off.
Definitely
But
improved.
at the time, there really wasn't a whole lot of unique stuff going on. And charcuterie was something that I had seen in some other cities, something I'd seen in New Orleans, a place called Couchon Butcher over there, played a big part of the inspiration for the deli. I just felt like it was something Baton Rouge needed. Started out as a hobby, just doing cured meats in my refrigerator in my basement, and it turned into a restaurant.
So at what point did you decide, I'm really good at curing meats, and I think people would want to come buy them from me?
Well, I don't know if I'd ever say I was really good at it, but I guess I was introduced to my co-founding partner, Chase. He and I had we had similar ideas of what we wanted. I was into the meats and he was into the sandwiches, and so out of that partnership, we met each other through a mutual friend, and out of that partnership, City Pork Deli and Charcuterie was born.
There you go. Okay. Now was it a big leap, I would imagine, to go from a real estate day job where you're trained and you know the market and everything to this brave new world of restaurant concept?
It was a huge leap, and it
and it still is.
And it still is. There was a lot of stress that went on then, and a lot of stress that goes on now. But I definitely think 3 years later, I feel like we've hit our stride from an operations standpoint, and I think we're doing a good job. I think we did a good job then, but I think we're doing a great job now. We've got a great staff of dedicated employees. They do a great job. Our chefs are some of the best in Baton Rouge. So, it's easy to do good things when you're surrounded by good people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, All right, I want to follow up with you, but speaking of stress and concepts, JP, we got to bring you into the conversation because I know there's been a lot of stress, and I mean, this was a huge leap for you and your partners at Catholic to launch this app. Where did you get the idea for it, and how have you made it work?
The idea actually came when we were out to lunch at a local restaurant, and we were just thinking of ways that we could improve education. And my partner, Jay Butcher, has an operations background. He was part of a startup of a cell phone company and grew with that company, and it got bought out by a large company, and he took a job at Catholic as the technology coordinator. We partnered with Bradley Katzmarzik, who is our tech operator, and we were just sitting around talking one day, and I was saying, how can we help education in Baton Rouge? Because we had a football game against a high school, and it was really sad to see there was only 16 people in the stands from the other school.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And so we started talking about that, and Jay, his company got bought out by a big company, and what he decided was, how can we help local businesses? And Bradley kind of put this platform together. So what we did was we created an app where, a consumer can download the app, download sLocal, and he gets or she gets opportunities at locally owned businesses, discounts and deals and promotions. All the while, 25% of the purchase goes back to whatever educational institution they want to support, K through university, anywhere in the country.
So it's an app, and it's an app that you pay for, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the revenues generated from the app sales, portion of those go back to the schools.
Yes, ma'am. So 25% of the app purchase price goes back to whatever educational institution that the app purchaser wants to support.
Okay.
So if you wanted to support Woodlawn Middle, for example, that's a school that has pushed our app for us. If you wanted to support Woodlawn Middle, when you go through the process, you select them, you check them, 25% of your purchase price of the app goes back to whatever school it is.
So have you gotten all the schools, for instance, in Baton Rouge or in Louisiana or all over the country to agree to be on your website?
Well, what happens is that technically we don't really need the permission of the schools to host them.
Okay.
Because it's sLocal giving part of their purchase price of the app back to the school. So we're giving those funds back. Now what's intelligent for a school is if you push this. I had a great conversation with he's the headmaster at Dunham. And I asked him, I said, do you think you could get 1,000 people in your community to download this app and support you? He said, yes. I said, well, that'd be $9,000 back to your school. He immediately said, that will be 90 iPads for my new STEM lab. So that's where the impact really happens. When a community rallies behind their school and behind their local businesses, then we can make a connection in Baton Rouge that can really be progressive.
So then what's in it for the businesses? I mean, they have to offer a discount to get on there?
We want them to offer whatever promotion they have. Trey is a great example. His company is on the City Pork is on the app, and they offer a 10% discount for anyone who goes into City Pork. And so a person who has sLocal goes into City Pork, and they show the app at the end of their meal, and they get a 10% reduction. And the owner is he can change that at any time. If he doesn't want to do that on a Friday night because it's super busy, he can do that. If he wants to make something more aggressive on a Monday when it's slower, they can do that as well.
So that's where the real-time benefit of it really comes in.
Correct. They're in complete control, and so it's their mobile platform. And Trey and you guys probably know this very well, that our local business need to go mobile because all of our big corporations are mobile. They all have apps, but the investment for local businesses to develop an app is extremely expensive, and you still have the risk of populating it. So what we're doing is we're creating a platform of local businesses where everybody joins, and then they get benefits, and they're shopping local. So none of the big corporate stores will be on sLocal.
Mm-hmm.
So
strictly local.
That's right. City Pork will be on it, but other major corporations, restaurants, they would not.
Now, what of that, Trey? Is it true from your perspective, for instance, that you all don't have much of a mobile presence, or does City Pork have something like that?
No,
already?
I mean, no, definitely. What he just said, that restaurants are, realizing that they have to go mobile. I mean, we have a couple of delivery apps that we use. Matter of fact, with South Fin, one thing that we're really going to be pushing is mobile ordering.
Southfin is the name of your poke
So
restaurant.
Southfin is
Okay.
the name of the poke restaurant. We're opening on March 20th, and part of that strategy is it's a very quick, healthy meal. Because of that, we're really trying to push people to actually do online ordering, where you can be in your car. Well, no, don't do it when you're in your car. But
Pull over.
you
to
can
the
be
side of the
leaving. Well, you
road.
could be leaving your office. You could go online to the app. You can make your order, and it's sitting there waiting on you when you get there. So I mean, that's an example. You talk about going mobile. I mean, we really do want to push people to to use their phones, to use their computers to make orders. It makes it faster for everyone. It makes it more efficient for everyone.
Sure.
I don't think you're going to see that in your restaurants like the Brasserie on Jefferson, which is more of a sit down. You don't want that. You want a personal experience, a personal touch. But with something in the fast casual or quick service realm, like the poke place, you want it to be fast and efficient
Right.
and quick. So
Now, I mean, we're talking about new concepts here. You finally got this charcuterie thing down pat, and you're switching to poke, which is what? It's a fish. It's a Pacific type of dish.
well, it's actually Hawaiian.
Okay, I was close.
So it originated in Hawaii.
There you go.
And it's essentially like a street food over there. It's there's a famous Hawaiian chef named Sam Choi, and his famous quote is that poke is the soul food of Hawaii.
Gotcha.
So it's actually very interesting to see the correlations between poke and gumbo here in Louisiana.
And the poke is actually the fish, or it's the
So-
style of preparing the fish?
So the origin, the word poke means to cut or to dice.
Okay.
So what they did was back years ago, the fishermen, sashimi was a big deal, and they only gave the prime cuts to the sushi restaurants for sashimi. So what these fishmongers would do, these fishermen and the fishmongers, they would cut the best parts of the tuna and send it off for sashimi, and they would take all the trim, they would dice it up, and they would toss it in, either soy sauce or sesame oil, some kind of a flavorful sauce, and then they would eat that over rice.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's why I make
So
the
it's
tie.
raw?
Yeah, it's
uncooked.
raw fish. But
Yeah.
that's where I make the tie to gumbo, because it started out in the same way that gumbo was, it was kind of a poor man's food.
Sure.
It started out as a way to repurpose leftover materials. They used rice to stretch it out.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about poke, which is very similar to gumbo, there is no recipe.
Right.
There isn't a poke recipe. Every house, every grandmother, every family has their own recipe. Well, I mean, what does that sound like?
Now, I have to ask this, and I don't mean this to sound critical because I'm a big sushi fan and I don't have a problem with raw fish, but when we're talking gumbo, it's cooked. So I don't care if I'm eating the leftovers that are in a gravy, but I don't want the leftovers of raw fish.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because this
So
isn't going to be
clarify.
leftovers. So this is, so I mean, the fish that we're bringing in, no, this is not the leftovers of the
Oh,
fish.
good.
We're actually going to be bringing in the whole loin of tuna, and we're going to be cutting the whole thing up ourselves in the shop. Everything that we get is sourced from the Gulf, coming in fresh,
Nice.
unfrozen.
So this will be sashimi
This
grade
will be- this
Gulf
will be
tuna
sashimi grade Gulf
prepared
tuna.
in a poke way.
Exactly.
Interesting. And so when y'all are marketing these new concepts, whether it's an app or a poke restaurant, how do you bring a new concept like this to a place like Baton Rouge and get people, engaged and even understanding, which I'm sure, JP, with your product is difficult because it's really doing three things at once. And that's probably been one of the biggest challenges you faced.
For me, it's been the biggest education is going to people like Trey and other business owners and getting their input. What do we need to do? So I don't come from a business background. So when we first started developing this app, we went to great business leaders in Baton Rouge and said, this is our concept. How can you help us refine it? And they suggested tons of different ways to do it. And for us, our first marketing is to promote through the schools and say, hey, you have an opportunity here to have outside funds coming in that's unbudgeted. And so the schools help us out. But a business, for example, can do the same thing. Technically, this becomes their app. So if a business developed an app, they would put a lot of thought into how can we creatively market this. That's the exact platform that we've created. So a business who decides to tell their consumers, hey, go see us on the sLocal app, that's where we're hosted. It's the same thing as saying go download our app. So all it is you're going to the sLocal app to reference whatever place if you wanted to go to a beauty salon and they push that they are on the sLocal app, they're marketing their spot. on the app.
Right.
Because one time they may have an opportunity for a hair coloring discount. The next time it could be a different product. The next time it could be something different. So they want their consumers to access their portal on sLocal to get the buy-in. And the cool part about our app is if you really like City Pork, for example, which I follow because I live around his Perkins location, I can follow that business, and then City Pork can send me a push notification. All the other businesses can't. It's only the ones that I, as a consumer, select. So I select City Pork to follow. Now
And you get the push notification on the app
you get it
or
directly
in
to
a
your cell
text or
phone
something.
through text.
through a text.
Through a text, yes.
Oh, that's great. So
So-
then you know. You don't have to
Absolutely.
check the app. You just get a text that they're having a special or something.
If Trey had some extra of his Couchon delay left over and he wanted to push a notification that says, hey, it's whatever day, come on over here and get the Couchon delay. We're selling it now.
Or
at this.
suppose he wants to just use it as a marketing platform, like, come by for the St. Patrick's Day parade or something like that. I mean,
Perfect.
for whatever.
It's his app. So whatever he would want to market on an app, mobily, on everyone's cell phone, he has access to do that. And so do our other local-owned businesses as well.
And what kind of feedback have you been getting from businesses?
Overwhelmingly positive.
Has it been?
So we had a retail offering who gave 50% off tennis shoes, and he put it out there for 2 days, and it popped because we got it pushed that, hey, look, if you're in the market for tennis shoes, you can go here and get 50% off, and it popped. So for 2 days, they did a really good job of moving a lot of their tennis shoes for the new orders that were coming in.
That's
So,
great.
It all depends on how aggressively the businesses promote it, and the culture that we have to change is when you go to a business, check the phone to see if they're on the sLocal app.
Sure. And then you all make money how?
So we have there's a small hosting fee for the businesses. It's $50 a month for a business to be on sLocal, and we set it so low that a Boudin shop in Lafayette or something could still be able to get mobile. And so we make money off the businesses who pay us for the hosting fee. And then the app purchase obviously is part of our revenue stream as well. 25% of that goes to the school. Apple or Google takes 30% of that, and then that helps with our operations as well.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. We're talking to J.P. Kelly of sLocal and Trey Williams of City Pork. Trey, where do you all smoke your meats that you use? Because I'm interested in how the whole charcuterie concept works. I mean, do you all import the stuff? You do it yourself,
No, so
right?
we do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So all of our meats that we do are cooked at one of our 3 locations, and each one has the capabilities of making any of the smoked meats that we have.
So you have a smokehouse at all 3 locations?
Well, we have smokers at all 3 locations. We have one, the one at the deli is the biggest one, and that's where we do the bulk of our smoking. At the kitchen out at Industriplex, we don't have a smoker, we have a smokehouse out there, and there's a difference. A smoker is where you do barbecue. A smokehouse is where you smoke meats, is where you make bacon, you make sausage, you make your value-added products. And it's of course I can go into detail on that, but they are very different. They both smoke, but they do it in a very different way. We do all of our sausage, all of our meat production right now out at the kitchen. So
Okay.
everything happens out at Industriplex. Most of our barbecue meat smoking that we have goes on.
And then the fish is obviously going to be done at the fish restaurant. But do you have like a commissary where you sort of supply all 3 restaurants? It's also going to, and I know you have a catering business, and now you're going to have a poke restaurant. Is it? I'm sensing that there's ambition here to grow into something bigger.
Okay, so it's funny that you say that because we actually have already purchased a building that is going to be a commissary. We just haven't
yay.
haven't gotten it set up yet. Yeah, so we actually purchased a building from Ready Portion. If you remember that company, it was a meat supplier. We bought one of their buildings, and we're in the process of getting that thing lined out to become our commissary, where we're going to do the bulk of our meat production and probably do our catering out there as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great. When will that be up and running? Later this year?
So right now we want to get South Fin opened and running. Probably after we get that open, we're going to devote some serious attention to getting the commissary rolling.
Great. Now, you all both have day jobs, or I mean, at least you're in real estate still. Do that?
Well, I mean,
A
I
little
still, I
bit.
still have, yeah, I still hold my license at NAI Louder and Bloom, and but and
You're
I
not
sti- I-
actively really in
well,
the
I mean,
commercial.
I have a few clients and a few properties that I do a little bit of work with, but truthfully, most of what I do now is for City Pork, you know.
And JP, you certainly have a full-time job with Catholic High, and they've been great to let y'all do this. At what point do you jump off, and or do you? Is that part of the
Well, I think
long-term plan?
Catholic High is my dream job. So to jump off is not something that I'm looking for. What we see in the growth, like Trey's growth that they're experiencing right now, what we see is the way that sLocal works is that a company from California could send an email to a local business, but that local business isn't going to respond to them. So for here in Baton Rouge, me and my partners know just a lot of people, and so we have a lot of businesses that were set up. I don't think that I'd be the person to do this in Lafayette.
Right.
So what we look for is the person in Lafayette who has strong educational ties and knows people who are in business, and that person can launch a Lafayette, or someone can launch a New Orleans or a North Shore or something like that. So for me, what my job is to do in the first 2 months of this, our beta period, what we wanted to do is make this a strong, reliable app. We've done that. And now we want to expand it in the schools and expand it in the businesses in Baton Rouge.
And expand it eventually all over the country, or it'll just be depending on the people that you find.
That's a great that's the big goal. Obviously, that's a goal of ours. My goal is to help education. That's ultimately why I'm in this, and to have a voice in education in the future and the direction that goes. And so, if we expand to a bunch of different states, I think that will take place. For us, really, what we have to do is, yes, there's the opportunity for this to be a national app, an international app. That's can happen. If I try to focus on that, then Baton Rouge isn't going to be perfect. So when we start having the conversations about expansion, I oftentimes say, okay, what are we doing today in Baton Rouge? Let's make Baton Rouge perfect, and then that growth will naturally occur.
Sure.
Because there's people who have businesses in Baton Rouge. Technically, we're already in Lafayette, because there's businesses who have places in Baton Rouge who also have them in Lafayette. Businesses in Baton Rouge who are also on the North Shore of New Orleans and things like that. So as we expand into those markets, they're already our access point. So
Fundamental to your whole model is that people will pay for this app, and I would imagine that's been a challenge because so many people are accustomed to free apps.
correct, and that's a great point. And what if I told you that you could get paid to have an app? That's how we
That would
try to
overcome
change
the
that.
hurdle,
That
yeah.
would change that. So if you paid $30 for an app and went to one retail store and got $100 off, now that $30 was actually a plus 70. So if people look at it for $2.99 a month and they go to different restaurants, get their oil change, retail stores here in Baton Rouge, with the whole shop local flavor, that's very important too. So our money's going back into the Baton Rouge economy when we use the sLocal app. So if I told you that you had to pay $30, but you'll easily get that within the first month, and then everything after that is surplus, then that makes a lot of sense. I don't know
Sure.
too many people would say, hey, if you give me $10, I'll give you $100 back. People will. We just have to let them realize that there are over 150 locally owned businesses who are on this app right now. You're going to find a place that you go to frequently that's on it.
Great. Now, where do y'all want to be in 5 years with your respective businesses? Is there an exit strategy or just a long-term growth plan?
Well, I don't know that we're necessarily concentrating on an exit strategy, but we're certainly on a growth plan. South Fin is something that we would definitely like to see replicated, and we're setting it up as such. It's a fairly easy operation to run and to set up, and I mean, we think it's something that would work in markets across the Gulf South. So that's something that definitely we want to be pushing. When we would like to, we're kind of trying to build the infrastructure right now for growing the brasserie as well. I think you could stick that in any area similar to Baton Rouge, kind of maybe a small town or a suburban area, and I think it would thrive.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're definitely in growth mode.
What about the sLocal guys, JP?
I think we would never turn away growth. We've identified 9 different areas in Louisiana that we think we could have an excellent presence in. And so once Baton Rouge gets to a position where we create the model, and we're very, very close, what we want to do is create a plant. And here's this potted plant that now we can pick up, give to the right person in Lake Charles, and plant it there. And then plant it in Alexandria, and then plant it in Shreveport, Monroe, North Shore, 2 in New Orleans, one in South Louisiana. So we're very close to reaching out to people. We've talked to people in all those different areas, and they're excited about the process of getting it started. For us, the end of this quarter is a time where we wanted to really start that process so sLocal can really expand when school starts. So for us, we need to get to the context of the principals early so that during the summer there can be a nice rollout plan. August 1st, you go back to your child's school and you're hearing about sLocal and the businesses that are on it in whatever community it is. So yeah, we have a growth plan, and it starts in Louisiana. We have someone who's in Tennessee who is really excited about launching Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia for us. We have some people on the East Coast who I know, and they're excited about it, that when it gets rolling, they'd like to be involved in Kentucky and in Utah as well.
All right. Well, J.P. Kelly and Trey Williams, y'all are risking it all and putting it out there to bring new concepts to Baton Rouge. It's inspiring to hear your great ideas and to see your courage. So thanks for joining me on Out to Lunch today.
Thank you very much. And Trey, thank you so much for the corned beef that you guys produce over there. That is fantastic, man. Love it.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Trey Williams of City Pork Restaurant Group and J.P. Kelly of the sLocal app. You can find out more about City Pork and sLocal by following the links on our website. It's batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. Today's show was recorded live over lunch at Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansur's is open for lunch daily from 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti, and our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. You can see photos from this show on its batonrouge.la and on our Facebook page. These photos are taken by Rick LeCompte. All the music on Out to Lunch is composed and performed by Mitchell Foreman. You can find more of Mitchell's music wherever great jazz is streamed or sold and at mitchellforeman.com. You can get this show as a podcast, you can listen to past shows, and you can keep up with us on all kinds of social media by going to our websites. It's batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for its batonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansur's for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum at b1bank.com.